Would you look at that? I had myself a ball this month reading books. I had a great time. What can I say? Before we talk about them, I want to just pivot you quickly to someone who has something very important to say.
Well, thank you so much, Anna. What a gal she is. I am so happy to announce that this portion of today's video is being sponsored by Book of the Month. Wow, I am really excited to be partnering with Book of the Month. This is a service that I myself have been interested in for years, so to be partnering with them is really such an exciting thing. I can't say anything else about it. So what is Book of the Month? Book of the Month is a hugely popular and rapidly growing online book service for readers. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors and help readers discover books that they love. Every month, their team vets through hundreds of books and give the readers a choice from a curated selection of new and early releases so that the reader can spend much more time reading rather than researching. Personally, something that I really like about Book of the Month is that it is risk-free. So you can skip any month at any time and you won't be charged. I love that idea. If there's something that's not calling your name, you don't have to participate. And listen, you know that I love a good deal. You know, I mean, if you didn't know, now you know. Book of the Month has the best price for new hardcover fiction. And you can get your first book for $9.99 with the code CHEERS. Your first hardcover, $9.99. Cheers. Cheers. Cheers! So what did I choose? You're probably wondering, Anna, what books did you choose? Well, I chose 2 books, so let's talk about them. The first book that I chose was Rootless, and this is an intimate look into motherhood and sacrifice and what happens when a marriage collapses. I'm so excited to read this. I feel like our nails match. That's a great sign. And then the second book that I have is Pineapple Street, and this is all about the intersecting stories of 3 New York women. I should be a part of this book, it seems like. I'm ready to put myself into these characters. So those are my 2 hardcover books. For $9.99, you can get a hardcover book with the code CHEERS. Yeah, cheers! So thank you again to Book of the Month. This really is a very exciting partnership, and I really couldn't be happier to bring this to you guys. Thank you so much again. And now back to Anna number 1.
Spoiler alert, that was me. The first book that I read this month was Sorrow and Bliss. Wow, this was a very unexpected like. I liked this book quite a bit. I liked this a lot more than I thought that I would, which I feel like is something that I always say, but you know what? I love to surprise myself. Wow, what a little gem of a book that this was. It follows a woman, and in the beginning of the novel, it is revealed that her marriage has completely fallen apart. She is 40 years old. She really has nothing to her name. She has no children. She really has nobody close to her aside from her sister and some kind of random stragglers of family members. And through this novel, you come to find out that she has had this ailment, this thing that has been kind of weighing her down from succeeding in life in ways that she feels like she should, the ways that she sees other people succeeding, and there's just something holding her back. It's really witty. I thought it was really funny. I just found this to be a really absorbable book. I thought that the writing was very smart, and one of the mechanisms that the author uses, or at least I like to think that she uses this, is the illness that the woman is dealing with is very unidentifiable. She never really explicitly states what it is. It's kind of this nebulous feeling. It kind of partners you with the main character, because the main character is going through life and kind of fumbling through things because she doesn't have answers to why she feels this way. And you as the reader don't get those answers as well. You never are told what is wrong with her, and she, in the same vein, experiences that as well. So it's this really interesting marriage that you are kind of, you know, in this very unclear territory, very similar to the main character, and I think that that was just a really brilliant way of telling this story. I thought it was great. I hate, sing it with me for the people in the back. I hate that cover. I would have never picked it up, but I had seen a lot of really positive reviews about it, and you know, in the spheres of the tube, in the spheres of the internet, rave reviews do mean something, I guess. I really liked it. I thought that the author had a really strong voice, and I had myself a ball. Look at me. I had myself a sweet time. I had a really great moment with this book. After that, I had a book that I have had sitting on my shelves for 3 years. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, however way you want to count them. 3 years. And I knew that it was time to pick it up. I just did a video about every unread book in my library, and I plan on tackling a huge amount of them this year. This book, A Little History of the World, was kind of the #1 candidate that I had to pick up next. This is by E.H. Gombrich, and this was written, or at least published, in the 1930s. Gombrich was in his 20s when he wrote this, which is, what am I doing with my life? But he set out to write a book that was very easy for children to understand, and it's all just the basic premise of how the world began, or at least how civilizations began. I really liked it. I will say, this is written by a German, so it's not the whole world. He's very, very much looking at European history and how the states have shifted and countries have formed alliances and how literally everything has just always been a war. It's written for children, but baby, I'm a child too, apparently. Baby, I am a child too, because I was like, wow, this is so good. This is really, really easy to read. And those are smart kids in the 30s. That's all I have to say. I thought that this was really nice for having a formatted timeline to just be able to read these very, very short chapters and look at these maps and to kind of re-cement a lot of things that you already knew, but just really kind of nailing them in. Who remembers when the Bronze Age was, you know? Do I technically remember? Not really, but I know that I can pick this up and have a really great conversation about it. I will say a lot of things have changed, which the author kind of briefly acknowledges in an afterword. And this, again, I would say is the very, very basics of history. Of course, if you are interested in a lot of these things, definitely augment your research. I thought that this was a great book, and for children, or adult children such as myself, you will enjoy this. I think, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. And after that, I figured I would have a little bit of fun. Why not? Let's deviate from the seriousness. Let's deviate from that history, and let's read a Stephen King. Why not? I am not a huge Stephen King head, but I also don't dislike Stephen King. I like his short stories a lot. I do appreciate his writing, and I think that there is just something wacky going on with his head, and it translates really, really well to paper. So I picked up Later by The King. Oh, what a book. This is about a boy, and pretty much within the first page, you come to find out that he sees dead people. King pretty much immediately addresses that this is, you know, a reference to The Sixth Sense. He acknowledges where that pretty much comes from. This is a very, very quick book about the ramifications of having to live with this and people kind of exploiting him for that. The way that King writes, it's all based on later. The character introduces these little vignettes of the story and then kind of rewinds and tells you, oh, you'll figure about that later. So it's an interesting writing structure that just brings you right in. The story was really great. I was so into this. I cleaned the top and bottom of my house listening to this, and I couldn't take it out of my ears. There's essentially 2 endings to this, and there's like the classic Stephen King kind of ending where everything is just like, wow, you know, in your face, like, everything's happening. And then there's the second ending that is so unabsolutely called for that I could have done without it. What? What? It's a fun read. I have nothing horrible to say about it aside from that ending. And there were a couple of moments where Stephen King was trying to write like he was young, and it felt a little bit like, hey, what's up, fellow high schoolers?
How do you do, fellow kids?
What? When he's very obviously not. The foot's asleep again. Dear God. That was good. I didn't hate it, but there were moments that I wouldn't have done myself. Me as an established writer, I wouldn't have done it myself. After that, I read A Perfect Stranger and Other Stories by Roxana Robinson. I had no idea what this book was about. Found it on the side of the road, looked at the cover, and was like, oh, that's probably a great romance book. It's not. It's not a romance book at all. But I was actually really impressed by this. This was a great coffee in the morning book. These are all just stories of life, and some of life's really mundane moments and some of life's worst moments. You're looking into affairs, you're looking into people dying of terminal illnesses, you're looking into people overdosing, and then you're just looking at very, very simple things like people going to a football game or people saving one another. And what I enjoyed about the structure of these was that these stories were introduced, and then there would always be like a very placid introduction, very, very stable, and you really kind of had to navigate which direction this was going to go in, and there would always be a slight twist in the end that made the whole thing kind of come together really, really well. I liked it a lot, and I think that Robinson's writing was really, really strong, and it made everything kind of feel like a hazy orange, which maybe I'm partial to because that's exactly the color on the cover, but that's kind of what it felt like, and I liked it. I liked it. I did. I really liked it. Oh, and then, my beautiful friends, I read The Runes. I read Sally Rooney, Beautiful World, Where Are You? This was my first time with The Runes. I was a little bit shy, but I did it. I have a whole vlog on that. There were so many people who wrote really, really wonderful sentiments about what her writing had done for them or what they disliked about her writing. So I thought it was a really, really interesting comment section. I don't think that my video was anything exciting, but I think that the comments were really, really cool. This follows two couples, essentially. You have Alice and Felix, and then you have Simon and... what the hell's her name? What's her face? I'll correct myself here. I totally forgot. But it follows these two couples, and Alice and what's her face, they have known each other since they were in college, going through life with this sort of email exchange and constantly updating each other on what's going on in their love life, what's going on with their work, and everything like that. So these relationships are relatively kind of new, and so this is all just Rooney's exploration into these two relationships, and it gets very, very kind of meta, and it gets very philosophical in a lot of these emails, and there's a lot of these long, drawn-out conversations between the characters. For the most part, I think I was just kind of, a little bit ambivalent about it. I think that her writing was good. I think it was very introspective, and I think that it looks into a very, very modern world, and I think that that's what was really strong about this book. Again, I have a whole vlog about it, so I'm not going to get too long-winded. I had a video that I put out, books that I've given to people that I love, and that comment section was absolutely bustling with amazing, amazing book suggestions. I always feel like I get amazing book suggestions, and maybe I was just really, really keen to pick up some of the recommendations. Again, check out that comment section if you want some really great book selections. First one that was available for me to rent out was Plain Song. This book really just tickled my fancy because it was about Colorado, and I'm editing my road trip, which you will see soon. This is about a small town, a fictional town in Colorado. It follows all of these changing narratives. You have a history teacher, his two young sons, young girl, and you have these two farmers, these two kind of brother farmers that live by themselves. This young girl, she ends up getting pregnant. I mean, that happens within like the first 10 pages of the story, and it's all kind of circled around how the community deals with that. It's so uplifting. Honestly, this book I really have nothing bad to say about, and when I say that I bawled like a little baby, an actual infant just popped out. That's how deeply I was affected by some of the things in this. I know these people in these small towns, and it's this book is all about how these people look out for one another and how they will absolutely give their clothes off their back to somebody who needs help. And this book just shattered me. I loved this book. I don't think that this is going to be for everyone, not by any means, but as far as a book that really just reinstated how good you can feel when reading literature, This book did it for me. Thank you to the suggestion in the comments. Oh, also a side note, I never really talked about this last year, but I did read Heavy on a subscriber comment, and I loved that book as well. So I am slowly getting to the recommended books in the comments, and just keep dropping them, babe. Just keep dropping them, babe. All right, and the last book that I literally just finished today. I finished it at like 8:50. It's 9 o'clock right now. White Teeth by Zadie Smith. This could be one of my new favorite books. I love this book. I really, really love this book. The fact that she wrote this in her mid-20s, when this is just absolutely dripping with maturity and a full comprehension of life, is so moving to me, honestly. And the way that she's able to look at so many different backgrounds and so many different cultures, and to pull this depth to all of those characters is just mind-blowing. This was so intelligent and so respectful in a weird way. This is a saga. Let's just get that out of the way. This is a big ol' S-A-G-A, babe. This is a saga. This follows two men, Archie and Samad. They met when they were both in the military together and fighting a war. The basis of their friendship is pretty much tied to this one incident that inevitably made them kind of congealed together. And from there, you follow their relationships, their two wives that they have, children that are spawned from this relationship, and where that all comes together. There's so much that goes on in this. This is all about the immigrant experience. This is all about science and religion. This is all about nature versus nurture, the fulfillment that you feel to your history, to your own familial history, the deep regrets that we feel in life, the shame that we feel in certain things, hope for something more. It's so just so satisfying. It's so satisfying as a reader to have a novel that absolutely takes you out of any sort of current situation and fully transplants you into this world. I loved everything about this book, and this is probably going to be one of my favorite books of the year. I have absolutely no doubt. There's also a TV show about this, which I plan on watching almost immediately, probably tonight. I love this book. I highly suggest. It is a long one, but it is so worth it. And every single page is hilarious and makes you feel like these characters are very authentic and real. Very real. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed those books. Thank you so much again to Book of the Month for sponsoring this book. It really means a lot, and I'm so excited to read the books that I have coming at you hot. You guys are wonderful. You're fabulous. Thank you so much for being here. Let me know what you read this month. Let me know what of these books have you read. Just tell me. Let me know. I'd love to know. You're so wonderful. You're so fabulous. I will see you in the next one. Big dogs.